Coming to you live from the Al Capone Suite of the Biltmore Hotel in Miami, Florida. It's the 10 Point Podcast. My name is Bruce, and now look, I ain't no Wesley Snipes. I just hang out with stupid-ass friends that drive stupid-ass cars that attract a lot of mother-effing attention. I'm going to drop an F-bomb this early in the podcast. Speaking of those stupid-ass friends, with me this week, try to talk sexy. You don't sound sexy enough. It's Chris.
I'll accept that.
You got him.
And secondly, his shit always works sometimes. It's Andy.
Yes, that's true.
I've totally now realised I should have swapped them and made that Chris. But that is not to be discussed on the podcast. We are the 10 Point Podcast. You can watch us on YouTube. You can watch us on Spotify. You'll get us everywhere that you get podcasts on the entire internet. 10pointpodcast.com is the easiest place to find us. Just type in 10 Point Podcast. One way or another, you'll find us. You've already found us because you've got us here, but for the future, click like, click subscribe, click donate on our website, all this sort of stuff. We want to hear from you. We want interactions from you. Tell us what went wrong, what went well, what we should do, what we shouldn't do in terms of movies.
Friends.
I'm not done any preamble on this before the podcast. So what was everybody's highlight of the week? Although I think now I should go to Andy first because Andy's definitely got a highlight of the week.
Meg 2. It's amazing.
It's amazing. I'm not shocked to hear that you found it amazing.
Apparently everybody hates it though. But my Meg 2 review is, it starts off weak. It's pretty bad start. I'm like, this is not the Meg I like. It's a whole different film. It feels wrong. And then about 45 minutes to an hour in, it's like, this is Meg. This is what I want. And it kind of makes up for it because the last hour is just Jason Statham versus sharks.
All Meg all the time, is it?
Yes. And yeah, but I mean,
Small man on a small boat can outlive a massive shark that can eat him whole.
well, to be fair, right? You think this. The big one, I was kind of like, this one, it's all believable. Every single thing that happens, I'm like, actually, yeah, they explain it way better. Except for there's one bit that doesn't make any sense, and I still don't understand the physics of it, but still. The
Sounds
first
like a flying shark.
Not quite. But yeah, the first part of the film it's I don't know what it's trying to be. It's a different film. It's not the Meg at all. That's the trench part of the title. It's just
right, yeah. The Meg 2, the trench or something, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of like underwater superheroes for the first 45 minutes, which I'm not a fan of. But once it gets going and Jason Statham's on land, we're in for a winner.
What is a fair fight? Is that the
Yeah, exactly. But it was fun. Not as drama filled as the first Meg when I went and watched that in the cinema and had to kick an old woman in the back of the head. But
yes. I think you've told that on the podcast before. I probably got told during the Jaws episode, I imagine. You probably told
yes,
that.
I'd imagine so.
Story.
But no, Meg is a thumbs up. I did enjoy it and definitely worth a watch.
I've also got a highlight of the week that is also, to me personally, a surprise thumbs up. I went to the cinema. I was invited along rather than initiated to see Gran Turismo, the newest film based on a video game.
I was not
and
for this.
I thought, here we go. I'm not sure about this. And then it's quite clearly an advert for a video game. And the first chunk of it is just so, look how great Gran Turismo is. Look what it does. Look, you can do. Look how great it is playing the game of Gran Turismo. But once, spoiler alert for what actually happens in the film on a grand scale, the guy who plays the video game does become an actual driver. Like he wins. Our main character manages to win the games thing to become an actual driver, and he gets into a car. Once it becomes basically a film about a guy trying to win races, and it's like a Formula One racing, or not Formula One, like a motor racing competition film, it actually gets pretty decent.
Yeah.
It's directed by Neil Blomkamp, who I forgot to check. I think he's District 9. Is that him?
Yes, he is.
Yeah. And it's like, I didn't know going in who directed it. And when he came up at the end, I was like, of course it makes sense, because it is tremendously well directed when they're on track and they're doing, and it properly feels like with David Harbour not in the car doing you've got to go faster, there's someone coming behind you, all that sort of stuff. There's a really good kind of rapport there. It's really well directed. A couple of absolute shocking bits. It's based on a true story. I don't know how much of it is based. It tells you at the end of the film.
I think there was a game and there was a competition, is pretty much what it is.
There's a bit at the end that tells you the true story, and it's more than just that, which surprised me. Major elements of the telling of the story are actually true. But it's not perfect. Orlando Bloom is I don't know what he thought. Like, he definitely just took the money. And his performance reminded me of Mark Wahlberg in the film The Happening. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
Oh
where
yeah.
I still to this day don't know if Mark Wahlberg was playing it straight or trying to be a bit funny in that film. Orlando Bloom's kind of like that in this film, but I don't know.
Well,
if
he
he's
needs all
trying
the
to
money
just...
ever since he got his walloper out on the internet.
Fair enough. He didn't in this film, I don't think. But yeah, the first half of the film, he's in it quite a lot, doing whatever he's doing, and he basically disappears right into the background for the second half of the film. But yeah, I would not rush out to the cinema to see. I saw it in the super screen at Cineworld.
I seen Meg 2
2
in the super screen as well. Oh.
Yeah, the sound was what really stood out to me for Gran Turismo. It was really loud, lots of bits of music that really, like, it's really powerful, and then the sounds of the cars, they make a good job of putting that in the film. But there's a lot of jumps of like, oh, I forgot. Oh, that's another thing. There is a lot of story to tell in 2 hours 10 minutes. I think it is. This should be, I wouldn't say 2 or 3 films, because it's like, who's going to go see these? But maybe a TV series or something like that. But it's a lot that they try and squeeze in this guy's life story basically in this film. But yeah, I wouldn't say rush out to see it. It definitely gets a thumbs up. Give it a look. Like, it's not the worst thing you'll ever see. But yeah, Gran Turismo, not just a video game advert or even a car advert, but there's a lot of that in there. Like, I don't want to play the games. I don't like them. But yeah, pretty good. Chris, your highlight of the week.
Give us a proper highlight.
Well, I watched the first episode of Twisted Metal. Anthony Mackie is fucking brilliant in that film, that series. Love it. But my actual highlight is I watched Spider-Man. What?
Twisted Metal is the highlight. No,
I haven't finished it yet. It might get really bad.
It doesn't.
But
doesn't want to vouch for it yet.
Yeah, Spider-Man Across the Multiverse. It's a lot more serious than the first one.
I still can't get through the first one.
Why not?
It looks weird and shit. I don't like
it. It is a wee bit headache inducing, yeah.
Yeah.
I've watched it about 50 times in the last 2 weeks because Sam absolutely loves it. So and
I thought, Sam? Sorry, I've lost track of how old Sam is these days.
He's 2.
He's 2. Big Spider-Verse guy.
Spider-Man. Like, it was on Netflix and he pointed to it. I was like, oh, well, watch it. It was Spider-Man.
Maybe it's because his eyes are not fixated with the weird stop motion style.
Maybe, yeah.
It's not putting me off going to watch the new Turtles. It's the same style. I don't like that animation style.
Like that, actually. But yeah, I was sick of watching the first one over and over and repeat. So I thought, you know what, I'll watch the second one. And it's not bad.
Better, worse, somewhere in between?
It's a lot more serious. It's more adult oriented, the second one.
What does Sam think?
He doesn't watch it.
How many thumbs up? I was reading about not controversy, but some discussion about the newest Spider-Man, because there are apparently, in cinemas, there were 3 different versions of it intentionally. The second Spider-Verse film that's just come out, to try and, I don't know, for a bit of fun, to be like, oh, look at all these different universes. Like, there's small differences, like certain scenes play out slightly differently in all these different versions. And there was discussion about the differences that I saw this week. And then now that it's coming for like home digital viewing, there is only one version now. So like all those other ones that nobody's ever going to see unless they release super duper deluxe triple set of all the different versions that there were. But yeah, I thought it was quite an interesting thing. I didn't know that happened, that there was different versions of the film. Is that us for our highlights?
Yep, thanks, so.
Not much criticism there, some thumbs up all across the board. We better crack on with the reason for the podcast this week, with point number 1. What is the point? The point. The 1995 action comedy crime thriller Bad Boys. 1995, our favourite podcast movie year.
I don't think there's ever going to be a better year for cinema, by the way. I'm just saying.
Definitely not. It's something I came to... Go on, Chris.
I was going to say, it's a golden era of cinema, apparently, for us.
It is. Which is where I was going to go with this. I'll maybe got to squeeze it in somewhere else. Let's go now. Watching a 90s action film, they literally don't make them like they used to anymore. No. Like, it feels different. And somehow, I guess it's because I was like the ages of like 5 through 15 in the 90s. Every single film that was made in the 90s is different, significant, important in some manner. And nowadays they're not. And obviously, there's more films now. Is that a conclusion we can jump to? There's more films now. But somehow, everything that ever came out in the 1990s has that one thing about it. And they're all special.
There's not many special effects in this film. What?
I was going to say, I challenge you to name a bad film that came out in the 90s.
Oh, well, there's plenty.
There'll be a few, but still.
But there's something about
what I was going to say, though, is like this one is not a bad example because it doesn't have that many special effects. But visually, this film looks better than some films that were released last week. Yeah. But then you think of something like Jurassic Park, which was 2 years before this, or a year before this, the special effects hold up to fucking like even the Meg 2.
Absolutely.
It's like, what happened to our special effects and what happened to our practical effects? They all look shit now.
Yeah, like things improved, so they kind of, it's like they half-arsed it on everything else when they could just do it normally from the beginning.
And I'm sure it'll come up in this one, but like old school explosions when filmed right are amazing. Like it's just like, yeah, fuck the environment, let's burn some shit up.
Yeah, I guess that might be the difference.
I mean, now it's like, oh, you can't do that. Oh, is that safe? Is there a gas canister over there? Oh, you can't do that. You can't put random fireworks in an explosion. You don't know where they're going to go. It's like, yes, you can. Let's just do it. That's why the 1995s were better.
That's why the 90s were better. There's just something different about 1990 films, even compared to 2000s. Like as we tipped over special effects into the next century, things just dive bombed. And you look at the first few years of the 2000s, there's not that many good films.
This, right? I watched the Blu-ray version of this, right? And I mean, it looks proper mint. It doesn't look that grainy. Whereas if you get the Blu-ray version of The Matrix, it looks like dog shit. What's happened?
5 years later? 2 years? No, 3 years later or something, wasn't it? So
1999, so yeah, 4 years later.
4 years now.
But then, like, you get something like 2005, 2006, it just looks like it was filmed in the 60s.
Yeah. And even then, the ones in the 60s look better because they were used actual high-quality
like the 1930s or whatever. It's just like, what happened in this weird 2000 era? Just what shit happened? Films?
Yeah. Anyway, yes, 1990s, we love it. It's the best. We'd probably, if we probably had to, we could just survive on 1990s films, I think, on this podcast forever. Your sound is really weird today, Chris. I don't know what's happening. I don't know if
you're more different. I'm not talking really loud because I've got a sore throat, so it's probably me mumbling.
Maybe try and come in strong when you can then. Written by 4 different people have writing credits on Bad Boys. George Gallo, famous for writing Midnight Run, 29th Street, before making Bad Boys and something called Middlemen afterwards. I at least know Midnight Run. It's quite a good film. But other than that, Bad Boys. And he gets credited on characters going forwards from all the other Bad Boys. 2 kind of joint writers also had writing credits. Michael Barry and Jim Mulholland wrote Amazon Women on the Moon, which I've only ever seen that film like title parodied and things. The film Oscar and also Bad Boys. But the 2 of them, between them, 1,481 and 1,734 episodes of The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson they wrote. And 1,847 and 2,071 episodes of The Late Show with David Letterman they wrote. So 2 of the writers on this film are basically most famous for writing The Tonight Show / Late Show for near on 5,000 episodes each, basically, is what they wrote. So there you go, that's who these guys are. So that's probably where a lot of the humour came from in the film, I'd imagine. And a final writer, Doug Richardson, famous for writing Die Hard 2, Bad Boys, Money Train, Welcome to Mooseport, and the film Hostage. In fact, that's everything he ever wrote, those 5 films. For one of them to be Bad Boys and one to be Die Hard 2, that's not too bad. That they were the first 2 films he ever wrote were those.
Before you go into another point, I just need to make a production note. Did you press record for us at the start of this?
I have pressed record and it says recording, yes. Did you not?
I might have forgot.
Right. I thought you did. Anyway, I thought you had pressed. Anyway, never mind. The film, Bad Boys, directed by Michael Bay. He was a music video director from 1989 to 1994. Then he made his first feature, which was Bad Boys. This is his first feature film.
I asked if this was his first one.
Yes, he then went on to direct such features as The Rock, Armageddon, Pearl Harbor, Bad Boys 2, 5 of the Transformers films.
Bangerish.
Kind of bangery.
I think 3. After 3 was all right. After that, we missed shit.
Right, he did beyond the third one because he did 5. I don't know if it was the first 5 or not because they stopped numbering them after a while. More recently, 6 Underground on Netflix, and then Ambulance, which I did not realise he was the director of. That came out earlier this year.
That's the film that made me sick.
Okay.
I was the one who went up the buildings and down the buildings and through windows. It's like, what the fuck's going on? Fancy camera work.
Fancy camera. Well, he's evolved since Bad Boys into whatever Ambulance was this year. Michael Bay, famous director, has his own style, named director. Yes, Michael Bay, his first feature. Bad Boys stars as Marcus Burnett, for the most part, his real name, the character, Marcus Burnett, Martin Lawrence. He was listed first. He is the main star of this film. Famous for... He does fit into your theme. You're right. He's famous for the TV show Martin, which I'm assuming is based on his own comedy styles, his kind of family sort of comedy, Cosby Show, but Fresh Prince of Bel-Air style sort of thing.
It's kind of Fresh Prince, but yeah.
Yeah. So that was his big hit, but obviously he was a comedian before that, before making Bad Boys. After Bad Boys, and then the other Bad Boys he's come in here and there as well. But Life, Blue Streak, Big Mama's House,
banger.
and Death at a Funeral are
All bangers.
other bangers, as Andy puts it, he made after that. Co-starring as Mike Lowry.
You have to please speak louder, Chris, and longer.
I can't. It's really clearing my throat.
Podcast.
You could have called in sick here, Chris. And we could have.
I don't like being the guy that changes plans.
Oh, fair enough.
You're just gonna have to hold your hand up when you want to talk, and we'll all go quiet, and you can just go up to it.
I'll see if I can change it to make it louder. Right, continue.
Will Smith co-stars as Mike Lowry, famous for being the rapper, the Fresh Prince, basically, and then being in the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and being basically himself in that show. He was then in Bad Boys, Independence Day, Men in Black, Enemy of the State, The Legend of Bagger Vance, Ali, I, Robot, Hitch, The Pursuit of Happiness, I Am Legend, Hancock, Concussion, Aladdin, and King Richard.
He had a great run until he slapped Chris Rock, didn't he?
The run of Bad Boys, Independence Day, Men in Black, Enemy of the State is...
What a run.
That's the 90s. Again, that's the 90s. There you go. That's the 90s.
I'm pretty sure was Independence Day first, 1994, or was it 5 as well?
This was first.
Right.
Was it? I've got this written down as being his first feature.
I'm sure Independence Day was filmed first. I'm sure it was. Because this would be his first starring role. Because he wasn't the star in Independence Day.
Well, I suppose so. It's hard with Independence Day because it's meant to be an ensemble, really, isn't it? So if you go on IMDb, Bad Boys 95, Independence Day 96 is what IMDb says, which is what I believed.
I could have sworn I rented both of these in the garage. I suppose it was garage, probably a year later.
Well, this would be an 18 and Independence Day would be a 12 or something like that. So I don't know if that would have anything to do with it.
Nah, my mum was working in the garage. I get whatever videos I wanted.
Does explain a lot. Our third co-star, and I drew the line at 3, as Julie, Tia Leone, famous for Bad Boys, Deep Impact, which is probably her most famous role to me, The Family Man.
It literally took me about, I was like, what the fuck else has she been in? Because I can't remember. I was like, Deep Impact. I was like, no, it's not Deep Impact. What the fuck is it? And I'm thinking you're about to say it.
Jurassic Park 3?
Yeah, I keep forgetting she's in it.
Jurassic Park 3.
She's got one of them weird faces, and I always get
in that.
But she's been in fuck all else. She's literally had a strong run of 3 bangers and then been fuck all.
Bad Boys, Deep Impact, The Family Man jumped out at some point as being something she's famous for. Never heard of it. Jurassic Park 3, Spanglish, apparently.
I've heard of that.
Fun with Dick and Jane might be her last most famous. She was her and Jim Carrey were in that. Ghost Town, the Ricky Gervais movie. She's like the love interest in it. And then she's most recently been in a TV show called Madam Secretary for like 100 and something, where she plays the title secretary. So she's basically the main character in a TV show for 100 and something episodes, is where she's been. But yeah, Bad Boys, Deep Impact, Jurassic Park 3.
She's got weird teeth.
She's got movie star looks, but it's a bit unusual. She's very kind of, I don't know, she's got a unique look about her.
She kind of reminds me of Tank Girl.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Yeah.
Chris is like, I forgot that film completely. Laura Petty, that was her name.
She was in a film with Laurie Petty, actually. They were both in the baseball movie, A League of Their Own. They were both in that.
Right,
Tia Leone was way down the cast list, but yeah, they're both in that. I found that.
Maybe they played twins.
Yeah. On a budget, Bad Boys. I think the budget was for Bad Boys.
Yeah, so this is a low budget film. Chris's face.
52 million.
What's your guess, Andy?
100,000.
What? It's pretty much in the middle. $19 million this was.
There you go.
Which, that in 95, 94, is that a lot? I don't know if that's a lot. It doesn't sound like an awful lot.
Well, that's how you work it out. What was Independence Day's budget?
Oh, right, okay.
That'd be shooting pretty much the same time. Will Smith would be jumping sets.
Fair point. Let's have a look, see.
I know. I'll give you a fun fact now with fill in the gap. Michael Bay had to put $25,000 of his own money in to get that explosion at the end because he really wanted it. And he loves and hates this film because it was obviously his first film, but he hated it because the budget was so small. Hence the reason why Bad Boys 2 went epically big.
Right, okay. All right. I'm at Independence Day. I've not yet reached the budget numbers, which are apparently not.
Chris, Phil.
75 million for Independence Day.
There you go. See, this was a low budget then for what it was.
Low budget, yeah. Which they did well with this money. US opening weekend, 15.5 million. Final US gross, 66 million, tripled its money on American soil. Final worldwide gross, 141.5 million. I remember this being everywhere when I was younger. You could see posters for this and adverts on the telly.
It had a point award-winning song in it as well.
It did, yeah. Released 7th of April 95 over in America. We had to wait till June 16th in 1995 to reach the UK. Meant that it qualified for the 95 and or 96 award season, but I'll be honest, it's mainly the 96 awards I'm talking about here. 96 Oscars, no nominations. 96 Razzies, no nominations. 96 MTV Movie Awards, 2 nominations.
Yeah, boy, we're back.
Which, when you think about it, the MTV Movie Awards happen in the summer. And this film came out in America the 7th of April, 1995.
Yeah.
It had to be over a year between this film coming out and it getting an MTV Movie Award nomination. So maybe that's why. Maybe that's why it didn't win either of its nominations. Spoiler. Best action sequence, the airplane hangar shootout. It lost to the Battle of Stirling in Braveheart. Won best action sequence that year.
No, I'm against that. There was no fucking bridge in the Stirling Bridge scene.
That's why it's the Battle of Stirling, not the Battle of Stirling Bridge.
Bullshit.
Second nomination, best on-screen duo. Martin Lawrence, Will Smith.
This could be tough to beat. Who the fuck beat them?
Lost to David Spade and Chris Farley in Tommy Boy.
Oh,
that's a good
song.
I've still yet to see Tommy Boy. I keep trying to watch it, but it's never available on any streamers for me to actually see it.
Their parent is always.
Well, they did like 3 films together, so different films, not like 3 bad boys.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The 95 or 96 Saturn Awards, no nominations, not that kind of film. Bad Boys only received 2 other nominations. It hit 4 ever, and 2 of them were MTV Movie Award nominations. And the other 2 were both for the music in the film with 1 win. And it wasn't like for best song. It was just the music in the film.
Well, so we'll add that to the pointies later on, aren't we?
Randomly, very little awards made for this by any stretch. I thought even like Teen Choice Awards or that sort of stuff, Golden Globes.
I'm just going to throw it here. Back in 1995, it was a bit racist, wasn't it?
I guess that might be it. Yeah, it's not even just joking. That could be a serious reason. Yeah,
exactly. There's a lot of white winners there, like Mel Gibson playing a Australian Scottish guy. Yeah. That's some racism right there. Bullshit.
Synopsis of Bad Boys, presented by Todd. New guy, not had him before.
I like Todd. I don't like a Todd. I don't trust Todds.
I've never read this before, but it is a nice big block of text for me to read about Bad Boys. I've just covered some up. Right. Marcus Burnett is a henpecked family man. Michael Lowry is more of a loose cannon. They are partners on the Miami Police Department, and they are about to take on a highly dangerous case. $100 million in heroin from the biggest drug bust of their careers is stolen from the police headquarters. Now they have 72 hours to reclaim the heroin before the Internal Affairs Division gets involved. This puts Mike and Marcus hot on the trail of a French, first time I've learned he was French, drug kingpin named Fouché. Mike asks Maxine Logan, a hooker he knows, to keep an eye open for high rollers. Later, she gets a call from a guy who's high on drugs and wants to spend $2,000. Maxine asks her best friend, Julie Mott, is that her surname? Julie Mott, to tag along with her to the home of former cop Eddie Dominguez. Julie is not a hooker, but the guy's so out of it that they'll be out of there with the money in just minutes. But at Dominguez's house, Fouché kills Maxine. Julie witnessed the murder, so she contacts the police. But Julie, who doesn't know what Mike looks like, is willing to talk only to Mike. Mike is not around, so Marcus is forced to pretend to be Mike. And when Mike returns, he's forced to pretend to be Marcus. Marcus is a family man who has a wife named Teresa and 3 kids named James, Megan, and Quincy, while Mike is not. So this is not a very close fit. Mike and Marcus's pursuit of Fouché
fuck Todd, he's not like
drive when Fouché's henchmen kidnap Julie right out from under their noses. And then that's where it ends. That bit there. I think he said Mike 6 times in the one sentence.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did.
Who picked Bad Boys? It was Andy. Andy Wagon picked Bad Boys.
Because this fits perfectly in my theme. I had 2 starring roles, Martin Lawrence, Will Smith, that we have somehow never covered in a feature role or even at all.
I would say Martin Lawrence would never have crossed my purview. I'd never be like, oh, I need to do a Martin Lawrence film. But Will Smith's a kind of surprising exception that I've never hit with any picks. So,
Exactly.
Fair's fair.
Plus, you guys have been picking pretty white films recently, so I thought I'm gonna get the representation.
I can't argue The Big Lebowski is quite a white film. That was the last film.
And so was Wet Hot Summer. And
a good shout it actually was.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Let's go back because I was just thinking this.
A Jewish summer camp, basically. So
yeah, I was thinking this. I was like Blade was the last time we had to get some Star Wars.
all the way back to the first Blade. Yeah, hadn't we seen it before? I had seen it once or twice, but not a million times.
Really? I've seen this on repeat.
Yeah, like this is the first VHS that I remember getting from my brother for one of my birthdays.
I remember vividly getting this at the garage, and I remember this being on ITV all the time. To move on to your next question.
ITV, okay, that answers
100% ITV.
I would have seen this on TV for the first time. I might have seen this on TV this century, I think.
What?
First. Yeah, I don't think I saw this in the 90s. Bad Boys.
What did you do in your youth?
I played football. I watched The Fresh Prince. I saw plenty of that. Watched Men in Black. Watched Independence Day. I've seen that a million
Did you miss
times.
this one then?
Don't know. It just didn't appeal to
some
me.
Fruit Bubblicious and some whatever else he needs.
Which version did we watch? I watched on Netflix is where I watched Bad Boys. You said you watched the Blu-ray, Andy, didn't you?
I like the Blu-ray version, yeah.
Apparently, there are different UK versions,
Uh-oh.
and meaning that the runway scene, the one that's basically behind Andy on the video version, takes place either during daylight or during sunset. Apparently, they put a filter on some of the UK versions of it.
But why?
I don't know. It looks more Miami, maybe. I don't know. But when I think of it, what I watched,
sunset kind of thing,
like
Bad Boys.
Andy's kind of skyline. It's probably filmed during the day and made to look like that. I don't know if I've got a different, background maybe that is of that. No, I don't think I do have one.
I've got a fun fact about the scene as well.
I've got that. That's near the end. So that's a bit more daylight, kind of, but yeah.
Fun fact. You know, like when they're driving the car. And there's not that very many distance shots. They're all close-ups. It's because they fucked the car up in the first take. So they're all really zoomed in and they're quick cuts of just zoomed in car rather than distance shots.
Just sitting in the car. Ooh.
Yeah, Michael Bay fucked it in the first take.
The other one.
We'll have to start again, Chris. We didn't hear you at the beginning.
The Porsche or the other one?
The Porsche.
I'm blaming Martin Lawrence because he fucked the other one in the second.
Yes.
And that's us for our pre-match discussion. So we get on to point 2, which is the high points. You all know what the high points are. I'm not going to say what I always say. So high points. Andy, you selected the film, so why don't you start?
I always like the start of this film. Just the little musical intro, like the I couldn't even do it. It's a song. As soon as it plays, I know exactly what this is.
On you go, Chris.
I would say the cold open before that of them just bickering at each other and the fries just before the musical interlude.
Yeah,
I think that you're on about.
From the get-go, from the beginning of the film to the carjacking, it's really good, really. The entire first. But you're right though, Andy, I can't remember how the tune. There's a Bad Boys Axel F version.
Yes.
It's the same tune.
Through. Yeah.
Yeah. And
when it's all played, it's like, I don't this is a safe film. I know what this film is now.
But also like you, I'm like, oh yeah. And then now that it's over, I can't remember it. Actually, Axel F is different. I know what the tune is in Beverly Hills.
As soon as it plays again, I'll be able to hum the whole thing. As soon as I get a couple notes.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. I know it.
You know it, do you?
Lawrence, Martin Lawrence and Will Smith, just their chemistry right from the get-go. Just when they do the little bickering and just turn the guns on them. Same scene behind Chris. You could tell these guys have got something straight away.
Because them bickering at the very beginning, they're just arguing about how... Is that the one where he's got the food in the car? At the very beginning.
And he spills the fries. And
so they're arguing anyway. And then they pull the car over, and then the whole guy coming to try and carjack them. And then they continue bickering, but then you basically find very quickly that is what they're like, but it is also their plan of how to get through any situation is to argue with each other enough that they can then get the one up on the bad guys. So and then turn the guns on our man Kim Coates. Who's in that first scene? Who will be?
He had a run 1985 as well. Waterworld, this,
and something else which I'm sure Chris has hit on, which will come up later on as well.
He shit himself already.
Other high points, Chris. What about you?
Next one, the police station heist, just after the 5-minute flyover of Miami.
Again, Miami's one of those cities that if you put a good enough tune over it, I could watch like the flyovers of it.
It
I
just
just
reminds
realised I
me of
don't
GTA
have.
Vice City, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Because they
absolutely.
even
Which
had
has
the
got
boardwalk when where you save point as your first save point by Vice.
exactly. Yeah,
Miami
yeah.
Vice.
It for the future reference. This reminds me of GTA 6. This is just like being in Vice City and GTA 6. That's for this video will be on YouTube forever. So that at some point that'll be poignant. I don't have the heist written down as a high point, so I have to add the heist in. But yes,
I love
Chris.
a good heist. There's like I love it when it goes smoothly. Like even if it is bad guys that are doing it, it's just satisfying just to watch something go
They've
well.
got to stop making big tunnels to places with storage. Like I'm just saying, because
Oh, now you mentioned it, that blew my mind. That's the first time I've ever noticed them talk about the grate that falls down. Them saying, "Oh, this is a great design. This, oh yeah, fucking heroin fumes," and I was like, "That's why they put that in there, just so they can fucking come out and steal it."
yeah,
It blew my fucking mind.
that just blew my mind. Now you explained it. It makes sense.
I do like that it's a good heist. It's good. You see the operation happening all the way from the guy who's, oh, this looks really real. I'm the decoy. This looks really good. And then killing him, which is good to get all the police to go there. But then the whole heist plays out and you're not really sure exactly. You kind of know what they're robbing, but you don't know where it's from. And I do like that it is not revealed that they're stealing it from the police station until it gets to the right time to, oh, look, actually, it was the police station. That's why they had the decoy to get all the police out of there and all that. It's a very well constructed part of the film that you don't know what they're stealing or from where, but you know, these are the baddies and they're doing the bad thing. I like that part of it.
Part thing that they zoomed along.
Yeah. Obviously, they shot it. Like, it was like attached to a rope, but then somehow it kind of like propelled it. And then does it propel back again? I couldn't work out what it was that was making it.
I think it was on a rope. Yeah, it just kind of somehow went back and forth.
But they're definitely firing it. It was like a noise like, as they were going along. So I wasn't sure if I liked it. I didn't actually go back and rewind to try and work out what the science was, but I enjoyed it. Other high points. It's a wee bit till my next high point. So I don't know if anyone's got any others at the moment.
Mine's funny bits in between, but I wouldn't say they're particularly high points.
Mine's is when we get the captain. Because you always love a police captain.
I do. And Joe Pantoliano comes in here.
He fits the bill.
Perfect.
I think you always like a kind of black, kind of old, I'm about to retire captain guy.
Not so much the oldest. Like, what the hell is going on with you? Like that kind of guy.
This is my captain. Like if I had to pick a white guy version, this every single time he comes to my head, he kind of just reminds me of like a what you call him, J.K. Simmons type.
Yeah.
Like Spider-Man, but this is his precinct. He knows what he wants.
Like, you know, he wouldn't beat you up, but you're still terrified of him because there's just something about him that is scary. Like, he's not big and scary. He's just intense, and he's the one in charge, and it's not worth your time to do against what he wants.
For years, I did not put him and Cypher as the same person.
They're
like two completely different people.
Yeah. Very good. So speaking of him, my next high point, I don't know what I'm skipping to get to it, is him and Marcus receiving the phone call from Julie. Where she's... I'm skipping over Max's murder and everything. It takes place in said suite, the Al Capone suite. That will come up later. So I'm skipping to her and him pretending to be Mike. And like I said to earlier on with the... You have to be more sexy stuff and all that. It's just... Pantoliano is really good, but Martin Lawrence, this is when I first really got, you're hilarious, Martin Lawrence. It's really good. And him pretend I'm Michael Lowry. And this is when it starts. He just keeps, when he's pretending to be Mike
Lowry.
Michael Lowry. He always says, I'm Mike Lowry the entire time. It's the whole name all the time. Keep explaining here again. But that phone call was, the scene is really good. Like, you got to take it. And it's like the whole time, Mike's like knocked out outside of a window somewhere, isn't he, the whole time when that's happening. So yeah, I that scene's probably it might be my favorite scene in the entire film.
My favorite scene is actually when he takes the witness to Mike's apartment and it's the bellboy.
Right, when we have Chet down at the door.
I absolutely love Chet. He's brilliant. I don't know what it is about him. He just seems like the useless moron. But like, you get all these like things like when she's like, "Oh, Chet's bringing up my burger," and Chet's doing this. It's like he seems like he's active, but you don't see a lot of him.
He wants to help.
And I just read like the bit at the end where he's just like, it's all kicking off and he calls the police. He does a perfect phone call, hangs up and went, shit, I didn't tell him where we are.
Yeah. He's not useless. Like
No.
I do enjoy that he wants to assist, he wants to help. Like I know you guys are the good guys and all that sort of stuff.
He is subtle as well. Like, he's subtle funny. Just when like Mike walks past, he's like, "Oh, hi, Mike," and then he's like, "Hi, Mike." Ah, the Lowry brothers. He's the same character. He's like, he knows he's Mike, and he's like, "Oh, there's Mike as well," but he's not phased by two of them. He's just doing his job.
I don't know what I know him from, because it's like he's got a very recognizable face and voice. But if I look at everything he's in, I'll tell you what it is. He's in Becker, the TV show, which is a very, I don't know, underappreciated, underwatched. It's the first thing I ever saw Hurley from Lost. He was in the TV show Becker. He's in 90 episodes. It's got Ted Danson plays Becker in it. Actually, Amanda from Saw is in it as well.
Yeah, she's in it,
But yeah, I watched that religiously for a period of time. But yeah, he's in that. That's what I know him from. But yeah, Chet. Right. He knocks out of the park, does Chet.
Yeah, I do love any interaction with him and that. But yeah, kind of going into the next scene right behind you. It's funny because it's just like, fuck, he's been caught here. Why is there loads of it? Just his cover story. It's just brilliant.
Yeah. So I thought you were lovers. Yeah. The first scene where they're first there, where he's taking her to his house. And he doesn't know where the light switches are, and he trips over the step, and there's all that sort of stuff. It just cracks me up. Is the trying to cover for the fact that he, it's my house, and I don't know where it is. It's just really funny. But yeah, why is there so many pictures of him? I've got it in low points, but I just want to, but I have to have it pointed out. Have I written it down? Yeah. Why does Mike have 10 photographs minimum of just him? Like, at least
he's an eagle.
This one, he's in the forces here. I don't know if it's the Army or Air Force or whatever. But all the rest, it's like him just with a basketball, him leaning with the basketball, him just posing on his own. It's like, I would never, ever personally have any photograph of just me, just being. Like, why would I need to see a photograph of myself just existing? Like, holding up a trophy or a party.
When he brings all these ladies in, it's just like, look, this is all my achievements. Look how awesome I am. And it's working on her.
I guess so.
She got some hot steel and wanted some thingy.
Well, she saw him, but was like, why does Mike Lowry have so many pictures of this guy? And obviously he's in some
at all either. Is he?
Hey?
Yeah, I think he's in like some of the group ones. I think like that one might be the two of them kind of hugging. I think so. But yeah, he's in a couple of them, which I think is kind of helps cover it up. Always my partner. Anytime he saves my life, I put a picture of him up here, which is quite funny. But yeah, it made no sense why Mike has pictures of himself to me.
I've got Club Hell is a high point for me. I think I'm probably skipping over a lot of other high points here.
You can fire on, you can do whatever order you want.
Go ahead with Club Hell. Very Blade, isn't it, Club Hell?
Yes. I knew. As soon as it happened, I'm like, Chris, I love this scene. He loves the Blade scene.
It's the fight in the toilet as well. Is just
that fight is
getting the shit kicked out of him, and Mike's just sitting there watching this woman wave her foot in front of his face.
Yeah.
All this cracks, but just him just going.
It's where Martin Lawrence like really just works and that kind of stuff. It's just like he's capable, but he just keeps getting like, he's seen the guy, pulls the gun on a guy, but then there's another guy behind him. It's just his luck. He just always gets sideswiped.
I enjoyed the scene. Go on. Oh, well, I have a question as well, Chris, but you start.
It's should Marcus have let Julie shoot the bullet at the gun? Because if he put it down, she's going to take out like 6 people.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point. The question I had was, am I crazy, or was there a fish tank as a wall between the club and the men's toilets?
Yep, you can just see right through.
You can just see right. Like, it's like we're supposed to think, oh, Mike's not paying attention because of the foot. What he really should be doing is looking through that fish tank and seeing his partner in the toilet. That's like a strange setup for a club. But yeah, I kind of enjoyed the fact 90s stupid films logic. There's this like half moon window up at the top for the VIPs. They spend the entire night looking down on the dance floor and spotting people that are coming to get them, and one after another coming down to try and stop the people that are coming to get them the entire time. It's like 90s movie logic is such a weird thing. My next high point is the interrogation of Jojo, which is another one where the two guys end up arguing with each other for it to be of benefit, with Michael Imperioli We've got Christopher from The Sopranos appears in a couple of scenes in this film. But yeah, I enjoyed him getting more and more terrified as the other two get more and more arguing with each other. But this time, at least we see Marcus around the corner, kind of hiding and listening. Oh no, don't do that! And then listening to them carrying on the interrogation. But I did enjoy the interrogation of Jojo. It was a fun scene for me. That was another high point. Any others? I've got one more.
Just before that is the shop scene just after Club Hell. Is when they're walking in, you've got the guy from Iron Man.
Yep.
That's where he's from.
Freeze,
Yeah,
mother
Jensen.
bitches! Freeze, mother bitches!
His mother bitches like 4 times in the one.
Yeah.
day.
And they'll blow you off.
Just as
I'll blow
she
you,
starts
I'll blow
walking
you.
away, Julie walks away. He's like,
Yeah.
freeze, bitch. And Will Smith just goes, no, you freeze, bitch. And he puts so much emphasis on the bitch. It gets me every time.
With
Like-
his 2 guns pointed at
Yeah.
Martin Lawrence's one.
Another
Which
little
is-
mini high point is we've not talked about Will Smith that much, but like Martin Lawrence steals pretty much most of the film. But when Will Smith does funnies, it works. Like this bit in the phone as well, when he's just like, it's just starting to be funny.
yeah.
But this whole relationship with like his wife,
Is that what where she hangs up the phone? Yeah.
it just hangs up the phone. Like, that's the start of it. But then it's just like he just kind of carries it on, and he just knows he's winding him up all the way through. He's like, it's not like pure laugh out like funny, but it's just subtle, just
Yeah.
winding him up a bit more.
Because the first one he
lighting him
does
up.
with it, where she, like, he talks to her like he's her husband,
Yeah.
and then she hangs up, and he's like, "Well, what are you wearing?" Just to make
Yeah.
him snap. It's all because Martin Lawrence is wearing like his silk shirt out of his wardrobe. In his house.
Exactly.
He's like, "Well, I'm like Larry."
It's
then
the
Just a little bitch slapping in the paddling pool fight and stuff like that.
Oh, the
I was
Martin
gonna
Lawrence
say,
fight, yeah.
the misunderstood phone call of them. Oh no, put it back
Yeah.
in, Mike.
Yeah.
just-
So,
it's
yeah,
just
well
brilliant.
done as well. Well structured scene as well.
But my last high
Uh,
point is probably where everybody else is going.
Well, I've got one more before then, because I think your last
Yeah.
high point is not going to be mine. My final high point is when the actual Mrs. Burnett arrives at Mike's
yeah.
house. And
He's just completely
Ma-
dumbfounded. He's caught out. He has no idea.
yeah,
what to do.
trying to cover up the whole thing. I know, of course, Julie being like, "Is he the big one or the small one?" And she's like, "The small
Absolute
one." And
genius. Such a subtle little line she does.
yeah, and immediately Julie's like, "Well, I'm out of here. They've lied to me the whole time." And then it's just the bit where Will Smith walks in and just goes, just kind of goes like that. It's his first reaction to her being there. It's like he just covers his face. He doesn't know what to do. It's tremendously well played by Will Smith. But yeah, the final end. I have often on this podcast said I hate comedies that are built on lies and assumptions. I think Bad Boys does the whole thing built on a lie as well as possible. Like it's basically the major thread of the film is one's pretending to be one, another one has to be the other. But it's not forced.
In your face. Yeah.
Like it's not like Mike doesn't actually move into his house and actually be the husband and all that sort of stuff. There's no jokes from that end. It is all on the Marcus being Mike end, which helps it. But yeah, I'm glad that it gets settled before the end of the film, and then we have to have a finale, which I'm assuming is where you guys are going.
Gunfights.
The chase point.
Use your words.
Trying to, but it's not working.
There you go.
It's like the chase just literally after that when the gunfight starts happening and they're chasing like running around town. The only thing that really annoys me about this is the big old guy. Like Will Smith would have caught up with him within seconds.
See that's on my low points. I'm at the end fight. The
Let's
airport.
go through that then. Let's go through the airport before Chris's voice dies, because it's like
Yeah.
he's on his last legs. Talk me through the airport then, Andy, because I don't have it as a high point, but it's not bad by any
I
stretch.
just love to bring about it. Just a proper like the plan at the start where it's just like them and the 2 actual capable cops. Garbage truck, like that'll get us in there. We'll just dump you in it. 4 of them have a massive firefight, somehow don't get shot. And then just shit keeps blowing up. And then you got an epic death. The guy flies out of an airplane. It's like what? One thing after another, isn't it?
You mentioned the
And then
garbage
finale
truck.
just blowing up.
The garbage truck. We had that in
It's a
Den of
genius
Thieves.
plan.
Had the
Yes.
garbage truck, but it's a 90s action movie mainstay. They always have
Oh,
a
the
garbage truck. If it's doing a heist, if it's rescuing someone, it's the
Yep.
how do we get in somewhere where the bad guy is?
Garbage
Garbage truck. It's a classic. It's garbage truck.
Yeah, so I enjoyed it right up to the point where the car drives, and then we can go into low points. But yeah, I like the big explosion, cars drive away. That's where I'm at.
On to low points then. What we thought the worst bits were.
Can I start with that bit then?
Oh, you go ahead with your whatever.
So I liked a
early-
bit of the car chase, but the anticlimactic finale of we're chasing each other, one of us can only fit through this little gap. It just seemed like kind of pointless. It wasn't like it was a pod racing
Yeah.
thing. It's just like you could both just broke and then just shot each other. But instead you just decide, I'm gonna go full throttle. There's one gap. Oh my god, I can't make it. Whack to the side of the wall. It's like, no, it just annoyed me.
I very much struggled for a moral of the story for this film. Like I really struggled.
Yeah, me too.
And I
It's
feel
a
like the
bad-
moral of the story usually is supposed to kind of come to light at the end of the film. It's like, so ta-da. This one seems to be like drive fast. Seems to be because like Will Smith is like, oh, you're doing it, Marcus. You're doing it. It's like you're driving fast. Well done. And it's like, is that the moral? Because other than that, it's like, I don't know what the point of the story was. It's like be policeman, catch the bad guy, or the other morals of the story for this. But we'll come on to that later. I want to go back to one of my earliest high points. Is Max and the woman I'm assuming that is her pimp, her madam, as it were.
Yeah.
They arranged her date, escort, whatever you want to call it. So the one wild card, the one guy who is mental on the crew that stole the drugs, just happens to phone the one escort in the entirety of Miami that Will Smith knows on like a first name basis to be pals with. And it's like, as massive 90s movie magic again there. It's like, he's like, oh, these bad guys have stolen a bunch of drugs. I'll go speak to this one prostitute I know. She'll find him that evening. Like, immediately, boom, she herself goes right to the room that he's staying in. Literally, is where it goes, which it annoyed me that was how they jumped from who's doing it? Oh, we'll find them by finding this escort to go get them. Like, that's proper police work there.
That never bothered me so much because she actually asked if somebody had been phoning about. So
Actually, she
he's
did
obviously
actually, yeah.
phoned more than one place.
Yeah,
and
she kind of almost like she,
happened to do it.
yeah, she's kind of almost like she tried to get that herself.
Yeah.
Get that
Yeah,
client.
but who's been phoning a lot? Or something like this guy keeps calling. It's like, what is she the only person in all of Miami that she can get an escort from? Is that am I
Maybe.
supposed
Well,
to? I don't know. I've never
maybe
been.
escorts don't do like people with drugs, and then she's like, "Oh, this guy, he's been called a lot. It's like, yeah, he's got some drugs here. I'll go because that's probably who Michael Larry wants."
I feel like people don't call up prostitutes and be like, or I should say pimps. Here, I've got a bunch of drugs, gonna send me a girl over. I don't think that's how it goes. And then they keep calling back, come on, I'm the guy with all the heroin. Please send me a girl. I don't think that's how it works. But straight away afterwards, also in the Al Capone suite, the bad guy, this is where it gets very Michael Bay, a lot of this film. I've got a lot to say to Michael Bay. Bad guy kills Max through a cushion to muffle the sound of the gunshot. And then immediately just shoots Eddie in the knee, and his two goons open fire on him.
That point pissed me right off.
Why did you bother with the cushion?
Exactly.
Surprise,
if you're going to shoot
motherfucker.
somebody, just either use a silencer, bish bosh, both done, not boof through a pillow, then fucking loud, bang. It makes no fucking sense whatsoever.
I get the feeling it might have been an artistic decision by the director. If we have all
then,
coming out the cushion.
I was going to say, like, then after that, all the other goons notice fucking Julie and they'll just start blasting away the Al Capone Suite with no silencers.
But at least that's kind of like, oh, there's someone else here, get them. But prior to that, Eddie Dominguez, he just gets annihilated by 3 different guns that aren't through cushions. It's like so weird.
The entire Al Capone Suite just kind of annoyed me. And then when Julie runs away, and then the guys just stop chasing her. Oh shit, she jumped into a pool. Fuck. Well,
What are we going to do
away
now?
from us instead of just peering over and going bang, bang, bang.
Or what can we do?
Bad guys.
What do you think all these wet footprints are that come out of this pool and go over that way? What way do you think she went?
Oh yeah, and it went from broad daylight behind you to fucking pitch dark.
Yeah, there's a lot of
In
changes.
space of 5 minutes.
Talking of pitch dark, maybe the halfway point in this film, Michael Bay just gives up on front lighting any scenes. The whole rest of the scenes is just dark. I don't know if I've got any examples for backgrounds, but nobody's face has any light on them for like the middle section of this film. Like Chris has got that background that I have as well, but it's like it's all dark and you can't see who anybody is in so many of the scenes for some of it. It's like it's very music video. Like the lights coming in through windows is nice and bright and fancy, but you can't actually see who's standing at the front at any point. is a bad bit. I've got Mike's 10 photographs of himself next. Any other low points?
My low point has always been like, how I always pick up on the most mundane thing is when they're hacking into the system and the whitest of white women you've ever seen in the world, albino woman.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't do it. And then just when they walk away, she does that. I'm the bad guy. Look.
Yeah, I'm actually in on it. Yeah.
Yeah, it is so like this. Like it's like, well, it's her, isn't it? She's the mole. It's like it was not subtle. I like when it's
really
subtle.
telegraphed.
It's like, oh.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a bad one.
Next low point I've got. Can I go in here, Chris?
Yeah,
just park the truckload of explosives out the front of the club. I'm sure that'll be fine. That's my next one.
But no, I'm gonna
Fair?
pick a bit more into that one.
Okay,
right?
go ahead.
Truck, they're a bad idea. How they loaded it was even worse. Just cargo nets and just it's like, no, that's not how you load anything. Who the fuck is lifting a fucking 40-gallon fucking thing of ether into a cargo net? That's heavy shit. You put that, just strap it down.
Yeah. It's like, what are we going to
do?
Yeah, they're gonna bash into each other if we sit it on the bottom of the van. What are we gonna do? Suspend them from the roof in 3 at a time on top of each other in this bag, which will definitely not fall. There's no way that could fall.
That's actually what annoyed me the most out of anything was that bit. It's not the plan, but just how they were stacked. This really got me.
Yeah, really annoying. Chris, you had a low point you wanted to go with.
Fouché, the actual bad guy, he just doesn't do it for me as a bad guy. I know he's too serious all the time. There's no, like, I'm going to say this again, like the second one, Johnny Tapia, he's got a bit of humor about him, a bit of silliness. He's just like, he's merciless, fucking Fouché, but he just sucks the film, like, I don't know, like dead, if you know what I mean.
He's absolutely the most generic. Like, I don't think I have his name in my notes. Like, obviously, Todd had him in the synopsis, but I don't think I've written his name. I don't think I learned his name the entire time through the film. He's just, it doesn't even sound French. He's just like, the guy with the weird accent. Like, the film has made all these stupid American moviegoers like, they know he's the baddie because he speaks funny. Like, basically, that's all you need to know. He's the one with the accent, so he's the baddie. But yeah, the most generic. However, I was not as annoyed by him as I was by a certain character in this film. Low point. Julie is doing my damn head in right now. I want to stay at your house.
Marcus was annoyed.
Yeah, I want to stay at your house. I can't believe I'm not allowed to leave your house. Decides to leave anyway. This is what you call protective custody? Well, if you'd stayed in the bloody house where they wanted to keep you, you'd be fine. Like, oh, God, she did my head in. There's half an hour where I couldn't stand her.
Also, where did she get the clothes from?
They went shopping.
She had a wee bag. She packed a bag.
Right. Oh, that's right, yeah.
She, like Marcus, should just take her to the police station. Be like, here, wait here for Mike. I'm not Mike. I'll just go here. I'll save you. Then
the whole film is avoidable from that aspect,
yeah. But yeah, like I said, she like, what kind of fucking civilian tries to shoot somebody?
She's fucking mean, like.
Yeah, she's a bit crazy. And that's the point. Like, she complains after them saying, we're going to Club Hell, stay here. She's like, I wanted to be looked after, and this is what you're doing. Well, you're not letting me leave the house now. And then she follows them there, shoots a gun, and then complains, this is what you call protective custody. Well, you were fine. You left. I've only got one more low point. Any others from you?
I've got one more low point, and Chris kind of touched on it.
Yeah.
That fat guy running. Like,
the fat guy running?
The running scene in general annoyed me. Like, just Will Smith running with his top out, like, with his titties out, bleeding.
They wanted him to run full titties out. So he was like, I'm not doing that. So he had the shirt on with his titties flapping about.
His titties are flapping. It's a close cut, and it cuts, and it cuts, and it cuts. But Will Smith is going, I don't know, like 1,000 miles an hour. And it's like he is gaining, like, he is powered through things. There's no way that fat bodyguard of a henchman would outrun him.
Like Danny DeVito, the wee legs going like that.
Exactly.
Like a wee jog.
There's one scene where you see him, he's like, well, he is like literally going to get caught in the next corner. But no, suddenly he's like fucking a block ahead again. It's like, how?
Like, I got to the point where Will Smith was like on him. So they just took him away and had Fouché, Julie, and the guy with the tash running. He was nowhere to be seen. He's like, we can't have him because Will Smith's going to catch him.
But also, like, Julie would be slowing him down. Like, she wasn't cooperating that well, but she's running full tilt as well. It's like, Will Smith is like, T1000 in the motherfucker, just like, and it's like they're dragging hard. You got the fight. It's like, no, this chasing doesn't add up.
So my final low point is basically I've changed my background to kind of what I'm talking about. Andy talked very highly of the last half hour, say for the car chase, but the last half hour is basically a parody. It's maybe been scary movied in as much as basically the sort of gimmicks and kind of tropes that the last half hour of Bad Boys is maybe been parodied so much in other comedies and TV shows and all that it now seems so unserious. But like this other foreign guy with a different accent in a white suit turns up to buy the drugs. We've inexplicably got this giant plane thing, and we've kept a whole bunch of explosives in the corner. They'll not blow up. They're blown up. And then one guy is like in the plane and they shoot the barrels, and somehow the barrels focus all of their energy onto where he's standing and fire him out of the plane like 50 yards out of the plane.
I enjoyed that one. That one never bothered me.
And then the guy runs away. I'm running away into my car, and our good guys will run away into our fast car as well. And
I think you answered your question, Bruce. You watched this in the 2000s, and you've been like spoiled since then.
Yeah.
Watching this back in the day, this was some mind-blowing action right here.
Yeah. It's hard to tell is this the original or was this a parody of what had come before it? It's hard. It's because it's mid-90s as well. It's like some action films that have come before this, but yeah,
this was the trendsetter.
Yeah, it's hard for me, but yeah, I just find myself kind of laughing and being like, trope the last bit of the film, which made it quite easy later on. Any others like us? Because we've taken a long time to talk about highs and lows.
Yep. Good.
On to the stats. Point 4. I counted 73 shits. The internet says 109. Now, they're really dropped in casually. Like, there's a lot of just casual swearing in this film. So I might have missed some. I'm not sure I missed 30, but fair enough. F-bombs. I counted 96. The internet says 110, so still comfortably
I was going to say, I thought it'd be a lot more than that.
Comfortably short of The Big Lebowski, which was 280.
Fuck you, fly.
Is another one. But yeah, apparently I missed 14 F-bombs, which I would believe. Explosions, 22, because it's not really that film. The end is all the explosions. We've got the car, the ether van, and in the end, really.
Michael Bay spent $25,000 on it. Money well spent, I reckon.
Yeah, money well spent. Probably bought maybe 10 explosions with that money, so it's not too bad. Deaths. Now, I thought I was tracking this quite well. I've got 15. The internet says 24, and a different bit of the internet also says 30. So somehow I've missed half the deaths.
There's a lot of
henchmen. A lot more that I hate that bit there.
So I counted 15, and that's what one of the counts had for, that's how many died at the end here. So I've definitely, but then they also had, obviously that's the right number beforehand because it's 30. So I counted 15, and that's what it is before the finale, but also during the finale is 15. So I definitely counted people dying here. So somewhere the count's off, somebody miscounted something. But yeah, somewhere between 15 and 30 deaths. No cows, no goats, no dead animals, any squabbles there. I think
Fish.
Fairly clear. Fish. Yeah. Dead fish, fair enough. No, fish are animals. I'm having fish as an animal. No pedos. I think we're safe.
Yeah,
Shay didn't give off that vibe. I think we're all right.
I was going to say there was no kids, but it was the Mike's thing. He had kids in there.
I guess there's some criminals, but none of them really were told us what they did. Tom Cruise, Tackleberry, nihilist from Big Lebowski, trifecta. There wasn't a motorbike in the film, so nobody got that. I thought this had an outside chance we might get a Martin Lawrence trifecta, but we didn't. Did they say the thing? Did they say Bad Boys?
Yes.
6 times.
They said Bad Boys 3 times, as in Will Smith and Martin Lawrence sing along to the song in the car.
Two times each. Bad Boys. That's both at 2 times each.
He's doubled up. He's doubled them.
You know, I always count it. If 2 people say something at the same time, that's only 1 time it's said. I'm sorry, I'm not going with it. So I think Will Smith said Bad Boys, and then they both said Bad Boys. So I think that's how it goes. However, that was a 23-minute mark. Then the final scene of the film, the song plays, and we get it 19 times during the song during the final. So it's either 3 or 22. So yeah, well, I count the song basically if it happens during the film. This one happens as the last scene into the credits. So 19. So 19 or 22. Chris, stats from you.
Mike Lowry is said 20 times.
Yes.
Good. So not as many as Bad Boys, but maybe 20.
And there's one nut shot right at the very start. Martin Lawrence boots a big guy in the balls.
It does. Very good. No Wilhelm screams. I think we're safe
No.
from those. Andy, do you have any fun facts left? You've already peppered a couple in.
Your man from Wayne's World, what you call him? Dana.
Dana Carvey.
Yep, that's it.
Oh, right.
And somebody else was meant to be the original two guys in
Also,
this.
right, okay. Dana Carvey
that-
and somebody else.
Who was it? Somebody else
Would
from
it be
Saturday
Mike
Night
Myers?
Live. No, it wasn't.
So this was written by Saturday Night Live guys for the Saturday Night Live
Yeah,
cast.
so basically, it originally was called something like Bulletproof Hearts or something like that as well.
Ah, okay. Better name Bad Boys. Definitely Bad Boys is better.
Oh, John Lovitz.
Ah, John Lovitz and Dana Carvey.
So it was meant to be them too, and then they ended up not doing it because I think they left Saturday Night Live about the time this was about to come out as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of arguments around that era. Saturday
And
Night
then
Live.
yes,
Like a wisecracking cop. That would be tremendous.
but apparently it
It's
was meant to be a very similar story, and yeah, they took them to it and put Martin Lawrence.
But would
and
Dana
Chris
Carvey be the cool one then? Would he? Jeez.
It's
Huffman.
wipe.
Yeah. Morning,
that's
Dalek.
a wee fun fact for you.
Cool. We'll stick with Andy then, because point 5 is a 10-point podcast quiz.
Right, I'll go for one of the old school formats. It's a nice simple game of higher and lower.
Oh, okay.
So it saves Chris's voice.
Wasn't expecting that.
All right. The title of this quiz is Proven Bad Boys, Higher or Lower.
Right, okay.
So we'll start off. You'll work out very quickly. These are all bad boys, and you have to tell me if their murders are higher or lower. Now these are proven, not internet factual. These are actual fact murders.
Right.
Some numbers may be higher. Okay, so
Right.
we'll go. Who's going first?
Chris always tells us.
Give it first.
You want to go first, Chris?
I'll go first, yeah.
Right, Chris, you're going first. So we're going to start off with our first murderer, John Wayne Gacy,
Fucking you've got to go like that.
the killer clown. He killed 33 people. So that was proven. He killed 33. There could be more, but it was proven for 33.
Yeah.
So 33 is your number. So, Chris, is Harold Shipman higher or lower than 33?
Ah, Christ, I can't remember. I think he was higher.
He was higher. I'm not going to tell you the number until the next one, Bruce, because then it gives that away a bit. So, Bruce, your guy
Oh, right,
Is-
of course. Aye.
Your guy is Larry Taylor, the interstate killer. Was he higher or lower than Harold Shipman?
I'll go
tell you the number.
lower.
He was lower. Harold Shipman had 218.
Hmm.
Chris, Lloyd Gomez, the Phantom Hobo Killer.
Oh.
Was he
Did he
higher or
kill
lower
phantom
than...
hobos, or was he a phantom and killed hobos?
I don't know. I think he was a phantom and killed hobos.
Right, okay.
So is he higher or lower than the interstate killer?
Keep on about high, low. I'm going to say lower.
He was lower.
Ooh.
The interstate killer had 19.
Oh, no, this was 200 less than Shipman. Jesus.
Ed Glynn, the butcher of Plainfield, Bruce.
I'll go higher.
He was lower.
Oh.
Chris, Fred West. He doesn't have a cool code name. He's just Fred West.
I'm going to say higher.
He was higher. I'm sorry, keeping track because I have no idea, by the way.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Bruce, Richard Cottingham, the torso killer.
Right.
My Google search history, by the way, guys.
I bet, yeah. I'll go lower this time.
He was higher. He was higher.
Half of these murderers.
Chris,
Don't be
Richard Angelo, the Angel of Death.
Ooh, he got in early with a good nickname. That's better than the torso killer.
I've lost
Yeah.
track of what the numbers are, so I'm.
They stopped giving them. So
I'll stop
yeah.
giving them.
Obviously
'cause
lower.
Yeah.
It is lower, yes.
I'm just guessing there.
Peter Sutcliffe, the Yorkshire Ripper, Bruce.
Peter Sutcliffe.
Is he
Right.
higher or lower than the
I
Angel
can't
of
remember
Death?
where we were. I'll go higher because I've heard of him.
It's higher. It's easier to get the
Yay.
numbers. Chris. Billy Glaze. Butcher Knife Billy.
Lower.
He is lower, yes. Bruce.
It's more of a pattern guessing game at this point.
His name doesn't have a nice ring to it, so he's lower.
Doesn't sound so scary.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Dahmer.
Right, okay. So I didn't watch the documentary, so I don't actually know what he did specifically. But again, I've heard of him.
I
So
have
I'm
a
gonna go
rough
higher.
number for him.
He is higher, yes.
Hey!
Chris. William Bowen, the freeway killer. Is he higher or lower than Jeffrey Dahmer?
Higher.
He is higher, and he was higher by 1.
Dahmer had like 20 or something like that, didn't he? 24.
I'll tell you near the end. Richard Chase, the vampire of Gamarito.
I've heard of him again, so I'm going to go higher.
He was lower.
No, I have no idea what these
Chris.
body counts are at this point.
Ted Bundy.
Higher.
He was higher, yes.
I think Chris is 1. Also, I've kind of stopped keeping track of the scores a bit.
I think I've got like 5. I'm sure.
I'll do one more because
You've definitely got 6, but I don't know if you've maybe
okay.
got more than that or not.
Bobby Joe Long, the classified ad rapist.
Lower. Didn't have enough time for killing him.
He was lower. He actually had 10.
Oh, that's quite low.
So most of those people it was actually very even. They were like 9. So other than Harold Shipman, he was 218. He was a bit.
Yeah. Aye, absolutely.
Everybody else was basically between the brackets of 20 and 10 is what you were actually competing with.
Right, okay. So that's your standard serial killer count is 10 to 20.
It seems to be. Ted Bundy, he maxed out at 20, but just Harold Shipman. What
A strangler.
Eh?
Should have put in the Boston Strangler for 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought it was going to be movie killers when you first started.
Yeah, no, so did I. As soon as he said John Gacy, I was like, oh, he's gone dark for this.
Yeah.
Nope.
Chris
real
wins.
killers.
Chris wins regardless of how many I tracked, because I only got 3, I think. Point 6, movies in the movies. Chris, 10-point podcast universe. We've had a couple of wee spoilers here, so who have you got?
This might kill me, by the way. So, you've already mentioned one, Kim. How do you pronounce it? Coates or Coates?
I think it's Coates. Yeah.
Where's a coat?
That'll do. Well, you already mentioned Waterworld, and I completely forgot about this film that we did this. Silent Hill.
Silent Hill.
He was the officer Gucci, his name was.
Yeah. He was like the rubbish policeman that Sybil, whatever you call her, had to go in.
Yeah. This is an early contender for Hall of Fame, by the way.
Oh, have we?
Somebody called Brad Jakobowitz.
I don't have him at all.
He was a pedestrian in this film. It was uncredited, but
God,
the fact that he has appeared in Aliens, Masters of the Universe, Demolition Man, Forrest Gump, Street Fighter, Fargo, Blade, Snatch, Minority Report, Fracture, Rock and Roller, Avatar, and Expendables.
What?
As a pedestrian.
What, he's always an extra in the background?
He's been a pedestrian
Nice.
in like 200 of his 215 films or something like that.
He must be really good at walking. There must be something
I
about the
know.
way he walks.
But he must have one of those faces I don't recognise because I haven't seen him in anything.
Yeah.
He isn't
Right.
popped out as a big guy.
He's not like that ginger guy that pops up in
Yeah.
everything. Like, he's not quite him.
But I just Googled, I went
That's
to everybody and his name.
How many
popped
was
up in
it?
Everything.
How many matches for us?
1, 2, 3. No, that's the same film. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15,
Including
including Bad Boys.
15
Roughly.
times. My God. We've only done
he's
200 episodes-ish. So.
Joe Pantoliano is a captain. He was in the Goonies.
Can't
as
believe we've only
Francis.
done the
Is that
Goonies.
it?
I was sure he must have been in something else, but it's just the Goonies.
I think he's got one of them faces that I think I've seen him in other things.
He famously on another podcast is kind of that. Like he pops up and everything. He's always Joey Pants when he shows up and things, but that's not our podcast. We don't do that here.
Excuse me. Frank John Hughes, who was Casper, whoever the fuck that was.
I'm assuming a goon of some variety.
Yeah. He was Catch Me If You Can, and he was Tom Fox in that.
Yeah, a whole name. So it must have been someone significant, but it does not jump out at me who Tom Fox was. I cannot remember him.
The guy that we have just moaned about and being not unable to run, Vic Manny, is Ferguson.
Ferguson
He was
is his name,
Gone in 60 Seconds as just a worker.
A
Was
worker. Yeah.
A worker.
I could have sworn he was in The Ringer.
Really?
No, IMDb didn't tell me that he was, certainly. So.
And I think I'm missing somebody, but lastly, Lisa Boyle as the hot decoy at the start. She was in Face Off as Cindy.
Which I don't know if I remember. Was Cindy one of
It
the
must be
people?
one of the girls in the party.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well. Yeah, that's the last one I got with Lisa Boyle. as
Oh,
well.
okay, good.
Have you recast the three of us into roles in Bad Boys?
I have. Not in a lot of detail, but I put myself as Marcus, clearly, because I've got 3 kids. Andy is Mike, and Bruce, I put you as Captain Howard.
Well, and me as Captain, absolutely. I couldn't find, I don't think, but Mike and Andy, there's so little crossover. Like, I can't see the two of them. So I just put Andy, I've got question mark the bad guy. I don't know. Chris is struggling.
I put him as Mike purely because of our fucking constant bickering at each other. That's why I put him as Mike.
Right, we'll go. Okay, of course you guys bicker, but yeah, I'll take Joey Pants, and you're definitely Marcus. I can even imagine you, Chris, having to play the cool guy, but just like who Martin Lawrence is.
I would be so uncomfortable in that situation.
Yeah. I started doing tracking the film references, but then they kind of stopped. So there's only a couple, so I got rid of them. But my questions I ask every week: could this film have come out in 1995?
Yeah, I don't know about that. Like,
it's a tough one, but yeah. Dead Man Walking. Now I was going crazy in this one. As soon as randomly Sanchez and Ruiz were introduced, I was like, "You guys are fodder. You are going down." But they survived, Sanchez. But the minute we got to Eddie's Capone Suite, I was like, "You are doomed," and he was.
Earlier, as soon as he picked up that heroin, he's a goner.
Yep. And then Max, as soon as she was involved, I was like, you don't, unless you really know about it and it's really the plot of the film, you don't have a good guy call girl survive to the end of the film. You're the motivation here. So I knew she was the goner. But Dead Man Walking, Eddie was the one, absolutely. But yeah, I was positive Sanchez and Ruiz, even if you're dirty cops, even if you're good guy cops, you were going down, but they didn't. Then the second one, what did they show up in the second one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Spoilers. I'm not sure.
Who's in the wrong movie? You can argue with me, but you'll struggle to get me to say that Sinclair from Internal Affairs is definitely in the wrong movie. And that part of the storyline is not at all required in this film.
Yeah.
Like, why do they have to be under pressure from Internal Affairs? Like, can't it just be, it's gone, it's us, we need to try and get it back again, and then the captain's.
I think it just gives it a bit of urgency. Like,
I always thought the time frame was because they knew the date when the deal was going down.
Exactly, that's what I would have said. Like, just have that be the timeline, forced like pressure, and it's like, yeah, you just have Joe Pantoliano be more angry and less like. We know he's a good guy, he's a cop, he's not actually being like a dick to them, but just have a bit more kind of like, gotta get this gun, I need that back, we need it back. I don't know, someone like the governor or the police commissioner is angry that was lost it. Just have it that way.
It does give them consequences for always killing people and blowing shit up. And then just be like, we told you if you didn't keep this quiet, shit would happen.
Just transfer it to Pantoliano, give him more to do. But yeah, I had no idea what that woman. She also seemed out of place as well. Her performance as well. And what trope we would like to see die? This is a major one for me. Wife is angry that her cop husband has to do police work. Get rid of that. I'm so annoyed by every police wife ever. You're never here. I need to look after the kids. What are you doing out going all the hours of the night? He's a policeman. That's why. He's a detective. That's why he's never there. That's my one. Andy, what's your trope?
Drugs and hookers, like from like police guys. Like, I know he's an ex-cop, but
you're right.
There's always like a dirty cop or an ex-cop. Drugs and hookers.
Current cops and den of thieves. Chris, what's your trope?
Repeated slow motion shots, like and that hanger. Fucking Fouché walks around that table 4 times before he actually shoots Marcus in the leg.
Damn you, Michael Bay, ruined a good thing. What's that one thing about Bad Boys that we take with us from this film? We'll stick with you, Chris. What's your one thing?
Skills.
Andy, what's yours?
It's the film that started it, but it isn't all of them. But it's Mike Lowry.
It might be that actually, but I've got Will Smith movie star. Like, this was Will Smith's movie star movie. Like, we had to just work out Independence Day came after it, but without Bad Boys, this was the one. He was just, I don't have my background to point at, but he's that nice friendly. He's the good guy rapper off television. He's the nice one. And
I think he was always going to be a star.
Yeah, exactly. But this was he's an actual movie star. Like, he might not be the lead. He needs Martin Lawrence to help him. But look what he's got. He can do it. So this was, but yeah, Mike Lowry is a good one from this. Point 8, our nominations for the 10 Point Podcast Awards. Chris, you don't have to nominate everything, so let's get through them.
Well, there's a lot. I'll rattle through them. But
Rattle.
So, best actor, Will Smith.
Martin
Worst
Lawrence.
Martin Lawrence.
That's it. I'm arguing with you already. Worst actor is Chechki Carol Fouché.
Yeah, I'm different.
I've got Tia Leone.
Yeah, she was all right. I'll go with Chris.
Cool.
Okay. Best supporter, Joe Pantoliano.
No, Will Smith.
I had Joe
Pants. Best actor.
I put Joe Pantoliano, but I changed it to Chet. I've got Saverio Guerra as best supporter. But I'm happy. Right, okay, we'll go Chet then.
I'll go Chet.
So, best badass was Will Smith.
Yes.
Best team was Mike and Marcus.
Yes.
Yes.
Best death was whoever got blown out the plane.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
Henchman number 1 getting inexplicably blown 50 feet out of a plane.
Yep.
Yes.
Stupidest character is the guy smoking around the ether.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, yeah, okay.
Best plan was the plan to steal the heroin because it worked to steal the heroin.
Yes.
Good work.
Absolutely.
Worst plan is Marcus and Mike lying about being Mike. Just
pretending to be Mike for 4 days. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, just tell the truth. Best fight is Marcus in the toilet.
Yes, I thought you were going to say the paddling pool with.
I was going to say toilet as well, but yeah, no.
But it's the toilet. It's the toilet.
You got 50-50 here. Best line is I've always wanted to use it and it's never happened. Is right at the very start as we're saying, oh man, that's cold. I don't know what I thought it might be Sanchez. He goes, yeah, so's your mama's bed. I have been looking for an excuse to use that because even in like when it's cold outside and the kids say, oh, it's cold, I'll mutter to myself, yeah, so's your mama's bed.
Kind of a self-own that one though, is it not?
Yeah.
If your kids say it.
Or the big old guy is when they're trying to get the number plate, he goes, oh, you cockeyed fuck.
Right,
I use that all the time as well.
Yeah.
So it's up to you, what you think's better.
I would have said the social. Well, the cockeyed is just an insult. Like that. That's just it. That
it just really comes out
he
with
says it as well because he's got that Italian. There's like cockeyed fuck.
I think what the worst line is when your main man with the tash, the fat henchman guy, is like he insults Tia Leone when she's in the car. But you blue-eyed bitch or something like that.
Yeah, you blue-eyed bitch.
Oh yeah, you got an itch there. You want me to scratch it for you?
Yeah, that stuff is like, oh, get away.
Oh, then she asked him, did you go to college? Who gives a fuck if you went to college?
Yeah, I know.
I think that's more of a put down. It's like, I think. Okay, I'll let you have cockeyed and I won't argue.
Okay. Best cop. This is two of them, Mike and Marcus.
Is Mike the better cop?
Well, yeah, you don't want to notice the 2 shades of lipstick.
Yeah, exactly. I think he's better because Marcus has to spend most of the time kind of messing around, where Mike's doing the police work.
Worst cop is Eddie Dominguez when they got fired.
Yes.
Oh, I got fired. Yeah.
The worst accent is Fouché's. It's just annoyed me. It's French. Best song is the only reason I'm nominated this is because we've already had Bad Boys before. Is the Juke Joint Jezebel, the song from the club.
I knew you love that song.
Fun fact is also used in Mortal Kombat when Sonya fights Kano.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I knew that. So 2 points on this. One, I was going to go with what Chris said, but I opted out of best song, so therefore I agree. But I didn't go for Bad Boys because I think it's an inferior version they use in this film. Like, they tried to jazz it up and make it a bit cooler. Because obviously it was on the Cops TV show on TV. As it is, like the normal version. They made this one a bit jazzier for the film, and it's like, no, why? Don't change it to make it worse, change it to make it better. So I don't like this version as much. And also, it's already a pointless winner, so what's the point of making it win again? So yeah. No, it's slightly different. Slightly different.
Oh, okay. Well, it's not 90s anyway. So my best food was Marcus's burger right at the very start.
Yeah, good show.
Yeah.
That was a good one. Best physics is how to cut drugs. I learned how you cut heroin. So that was physics.
That's physics. That's chemistry, Crystal. Physics.
It's best science.
Shit, sir.
No, we do have best science.
Best science will do then.
When it fits, it's best science.
Best product placement for me, Skittles.
Skittles.
I had AT&T because every phone had AT&T right next to their face.
There was loads. I mean, Marcus mentions Budweiser, he mentions other stuff. So,
but no, Skittles always stands out to me.
Not the Bubblicious.
Well, I don't know if that's a real thing, but Skittles, I know is a brand, and when he said just some Skittles, it's just like, yeah,
Okay.
that is.
Fair enough. It's Andy's award, so we'll go Andy.
And I'm adding a new one. Best last second save is Mike saving Marcus. There's a lot of last second saves.
I'll
It
totally
might be a
forget
mute
that.
point because it might never happen again, but if it does, then there we go.
Cool. Once you've missed, I'll lead off with cameos. Best cameo, Kim Coates.
Right. Okay. I think he's. I don't know if he like. Right. My one. I think it's more of a Chris
Forgot about that.
cameo. Is Kevin Corran or I don't know how you say Corran?
Fuck is that?
Corrigan, I think it
Corrigan,
is.
the guy from Grounded
Scientist.
for Life, the scientist. Because
Oh yeah, I recognize his face, but
Yeah.
I always
I forgot
recognized
about
him, like I never at the time, but retrospectively, hence a Chris cameo.
He's a Chris
He is the
cameo.
guy
He
from
might be
Grounded for
a.
Life.
But the fact he's in it too much for it to be a cameo.
He's not.
No,
he's
that
not-
well.
He plays one tiny little character.
He's in two scenes,
But he's-
basically. One of them's his
Aye.
death scene. That's why I'm going Kim Coates, because Kim
Yeah,
Coates is
I
will
probably in
accept
it
Kim
because
Coates.
he's Kim Coates. and
Yes,
he
I
just plays
think Kim Coates
carjacker.
is. Yes.
I'll accept
I
that.
don't think. Well, your man Corrigan doesn't work as a cameo because he's not in it because he's Kevin Corrigan. He's in it because he's an actor. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
He got cast in that role. But yeah,
Hence
Kim
Chris
Coates
cameo.
wins.
For
Hence
me,
Chris,
the
Chris
Chris cameo.
cameo.
I
this would be
recognize
that.
his face. I couldn't tell you his name.
He's in everything.
He is in everything. Yeah. Best
I just remember
character
it was
name,
so bad.
Mike Lowry.
Ah,
is
yeah,
best character
100%.
name.
Ah, yeah.
Done that. Best plan. Best that. Best supporting. Done that. Chris actually hit most of mine. Biggest bell end. It's Julie, is it not? Biggest bell end.
Yeah, I'll take that one.
Yeah.
I think she's in this. I always say in the spirit of the biggest bell end. I think it's her. Danny John Jules. Now I had Michael Imperioli, i.e., one of the top 3 actors who was in The Sopranos. I did not expect to see him in this. However, he lost because Yinsen, the guy who was in the cave that built the Iron Man suit with Tony Stark, shouted "Freeze, mother bitches" in this film.
Yes.
I did not expect to see Yinsen from Iron Man
Yeah.
show up. So he's Danny John Jules. So I'm going with him. Most underused, Joe Pantoliano. Not in it a lot.
No,
I think too
but
much of
he makes
him
up
would
for it.
ruin it.
Well,
Fair
yeah,
enough.
second one almost does.
Okie dokie, worst plan we've done. And worst villain, I've just got the villain because I don't know what his
Yep.
name was. So Fouché is
Yeah,
worst
Fouché.
villain for definite worst villain. And that's me.
Oh yeah, worst film. Yeah, got you. So I've got
Anything
worse
from you,
than
Andy?
the baddest.
No, I think we've covered all. We've got skills.
Cool.
We're good.
Point 9, moral of the story. I'm going to go with drive fast because I've still got question marks here. Chris, what's your moral of the story?
I just put Bad Boys for life.
Wait.
Okay.
That's
Andy,
I
what's your
struggled.
Drugs
moral
are
of the
bad.
story? Drugs are bad. Are they? I guess they are bad. Yeah, a tough one for a moral. This is just an action film with no reason for
Yeah.
anything happening. 10-point rating. Rate the film out of 10 points. Andy, go first.
I've got a massive soft spot for this film. I don't know why, because I hate the ending. I really do hate the ending. I always bang on about films have done it better. This film has been done 1,000% better by Bad Boys 2.
And probably
I
done
think-
100 times better by other films.
No, just Bad Boys 2. But Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, they just anything they're in just draws my eyes to it. And
They're the best scenes, aren't they?
yeah, and for that it does get 7.
7 from Andy. I've gone alphabetically. I don't know why. I'm still sitting here looking at my score, and this is the definition for me of a 4.5 out of 10. This film, and I cannot split. I cannot decide whether it deserves a 4 or a
What
5.
star?
You have to be full numbers though.
It's
You have
surprisingly
to round it
badly
up.
written.
Yeah.
I know I do. It's surprisingly badly written. Like some of the actual, I don't know, the exposition that especially she has to say. Some of that stuff's really forced. A lot of the decision making is bad. The directing is aged really badly. Like it's not a.
It's Michael Bay.
It's not, but that's the problem. It is Michael Bay, and it's to Michael Bay, and it's so I have to score it basically on the performances and not her, not Taylor Leone. I don't really enjoy her. Convince me it's a 5. Is it a 5?
Mike Lowry would say it's a 5.
We've talked more high points than low points, so I'm going to go a 5. I think it's a 5, but it's a 4.5. But 5, go 5 out of 10. Chris,
7. Absolutely love this film.
There we go.
Things
Correct.
pissed me off more than I have noticed in the past, but a few tweaks and this could be a fucking 9-10 film.
This called Bad Boys 2.
that's probably right, and I think you could be right as well, Andy. I think a couple of tweaks, and this could be up there. So Bad Boys 2, if we get to it, I think
I've
I
never
like it
noticed
better.
how annoying Julie is until this watch through. She
Oh, it
pissed
was-
me right off.
It was her moaning about the opposite of what she'd previously moaned about. Did my head in. A 6 out of 10. That's my doing. I've dragged it down to a 6. I don't think it deserves a 6.
It does.
Personally.
100%. And
It's
the
fine.
rest.
It's hard. It's honestly, it's kind of enjoyable, but also kind of rubbish. It's weird. It's one of them ones. I probably liked it better than
you
it's
wait
good.
till my other actors that I'm picking.
Oh, I'm open to watch anything, Andy. Don't worry.
There you go.
And Andy's already told us his theme. So Andy, as he said, his actors were not done before. Will Smith, I'm assuming, was this one, but Mark Lawrence was bonus.
Both of them. I got a 2 for in this one.
A 2 for
I'm
him.
gonna try and get as many. Like I actually got like loads in this one. Technically her as well if she's done build. So I got all 3, your top 3 there.
Yeah.
I'm taking a 3 for there.
And the guy who played Fouché as well. Next
Never to
time
be done
on the
again.
podcast, we've done away with the wheel. Viewers of this podcast, listeners to this podcast, may have noticed that we had a wheel of new movies for last season, and it spat out nothing but shite for us.
It fucked us hard.
Against the odds of there being things we wanted to see, so we've decided. Well, we got Fast X, which I mean might not change my.
Chris loved it. Me and Chris loved it.
Did Chris love it? I don't know if Chris loved it.
Well, I love Jason Momoa.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right. You did love Jason Momoa. So we have taken the 4th pick into our hands, and we're just going to pick it. But between us, this is a new step in a direction that Andy, Chris, and myself decide between us what we're doing. We're going to pick what makes most sense to do, or what do we want to watch this week, basically. And nothing makes sense and nothing we want to watch happens to be the answer this week. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick the pick of destiny, which is what this pick is. It is the pick of destiny, and we are picking Tenacious D in the pick of destiny, the 2006 musical comedy adventure starring Jack Black, Kyle Gass, Tenacious D themselves.
Also technically fits my theme because Kyle Gass never done before. Jack Black has appeared in things but never starred in things.
Starred, yeah.
We've done both of them before. They've both been in films before.
Yeah.
But they've never starred in. They've never been
right,
billed.
So this is your link.
Is that your green line? Is as long as it's not been top billed?
Pretty much. If they've been cameoed, it's fine. But I am going to try and stay fully away.
He said on the poster, if I remember rightly. So that makes sense. In fairness to him. So yes, Tenacious D, the Tenacious D movie, Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny, is the pick next week. So watch that over the next week. I think we're coming out on Tuesdays, give or take a day.
Mondays.
So Mondays, Tuesdays.
Live.
Live on your podcast apps in your ears and on YouTube's and Spotify's in your eyes. Tenacious D, Pick of Destiny next week. We'll see you then on the 10 Point Podcast.